let's go ahead and take a look and see how we're able to create a post login event listener. So let's go ahead and head over to Liferay Developer Studio. If we're not already there, make sure your Developer Studio, or rather your Liferay instance, is already up and running. And once you've confirmed all of those things, what we're going to do is we're going to head up to File, up here at the top left, followed by New, and then Liferay Module Project. So File, New, Liferay Module Project. Once it loads up, we're going to give this project a name like we always do. We're going to be calling this one Post Login Event Listener. So Post Login Event Listener is going to be the name of this project here. Right, we're going to do our quick confirmations here. Right, make sure that the build type is Gradle and that the Liferay version is going to be 7.1. In this case, it's 7.0 for me, so I'm going to switch it up. After you confirm those things, next thing is making sure that the project template is the correct one. In this situation, we're going to be selecting service. So clicking on the drop down for project template, I'm going to scroll down a little bit looking for service. Once you've found it, go ahead and select it, and then we're going to click next. Once you've clicked next thing we're going to be doing is first thing is giving our component a name. So Post Login Event Listener is a pretty good name, so we're going to leave it defaulted. Next up is going to be the name of the package. So we can call the package something like com Liferay training login events post. Right, go ahead and type that out. Right, if you need a little bit more time, you're always more than welcome to pause. I'll still be here. So once you've typed in the package, next up is going to be the service name. So this is selecting the interface that we're going to be implementing as a component. So we're going to go ahead and click on the Browse button, and then using star dot or wildcard followed by a period, we're going to be looking for Lifecycle, and from there, action. So Lifecycle action. Once you have that found, go ahead and click OK, making sure that it is selected. And then next up is, to make our lives a little easier, we can go ahead and add the property right here. So we'll click on the green plus button over here towards the right hand side. And then for the name, it's going to be key. And then the value is the specific Liferay event that we're going to be listening for. So in this situation, we're going to be listening for the login events, and that's after it happens. So after the login occurs, our code is going to be executed. Right, once you have that typed out, you can go ahead and hit enter, and then go ahead and click finish once you're all ready. So once we click finish, letting the project load up, right, taking a peek down here at the bottom right, just to give us a sense of how long it takes to actually load up. So the project is here, ready to go. Let's go ahead and work on this project. So heading over to the post login event listener, we're going to expand it out, heading over to source main Java, going into our Java package, revealing our post login event listener class. So go ahead and open that up. I have a couple things that are still open here, so I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping and close everything else. Right, we want to be neat here. It's very easy to get lost in a bunch of different Gradle files, a bunch of different BND files. So as you progress through, make sure that you are doing a little bit of cleanup as well. So first thing we see here, right, our property has been set within the component annotation towards the top. We are declaring that we're going to be registering this component as a service that implements the lifecycle action. This line right here that's highlighted is optional, but we at Liferay like to be explicit with it. So the only thing we need to do here is to implement the methods that need to be implemented. So what we're able to do is we can take our mouse cursor and hover it over the error. So hover it over the post login event listener like so, and then you'll get add unimplemented methods. So go ahead and click on add unimplemented methods. Again, the way to do this is moving your mouse cursor over the error, over the class name, and then we're going to select add unimplemented methods. Right, once we do, the only method that we need to implement is the one that we see here, this process lifecycle event. So let's go ahead and add some code here. In this example, what we're going to be doing is we're going to send an email notification to the user that's being logged in, sending them an email saying that you have been logged in. Again, security being an issue here, what this is simulating is the idea here is that if a login looks suspicious, right, we can send an email to the user saying, hey, you've logged in. So let's go ahead and implement that. So this is going to be the first thing here. We'll go ahead and get rid of that to do, and we'll get rid of this second to do down here as well. So we're going to be creating an email. And so if we want to create an email, we're going to need the mail service. And since we're going to be dealing with the user, we also need the user service as well. So let's go ahead and create our two service objects or service reference objects. So I'll start off with the user one first. So you can make it private, you can make it protected, kind of your preference. So user service, I'll use the remote service just so that there's permission checking along the way. So user service, the remote API, and then underscore user service will be the name of my reference object, right? And then since we're doing this the OSGI way, we need to ask the service registry over in the OSGI world for a reference of a service that implements the user service API. Once you have those things taken care of, go ahead and use Control-Shift-O. It takes care of our first set of imports. Let's go ahead and create our second reference here. So I think you guys get the idea. So starting off at reference, hey OSGI, get me a reference of a service implementation, protected, and then this is the mail service. Got to think about that really quick. So the interface is mail service, and the reference object is underscore mail service. You'll notice that I'm trying to use Control-Shift-O, and you'll see that in this situation, it looks like it may or may not have worked. Let me save here and let's just confirm. So far it looks good. I use Control-Shift-O to bring in the mail service, and I kind of just hit it a couple times. So looks good there. If we need to resolve the dependencies for it, we can over in build.gradle in a little bit. So we have our two reference objects ready to go. Let's go ahead and implement this method over here for the process lifecycle event. So starting off, what we're going to try to do, Right, so first thing we're going to try to do is, so the user object is going to be equal to, we're going to use our user service object to get the current user. So there we go. So we're going to get the current, and I'll use Control Spacebar to reveal the autocomplete, and we're going to be getting the current user. Right, and I'll use Control-Shift-O to bring in the user, and this is going to be the Liferay user. So selecting the Liferay dependency, column Liferay portal, and then go ahead and click Finish. Again, using Control-Shift-O. All right, so first thing we're going to try to do in this try block is we're going to get the current user, right? From there, what we want to do is we want to send an email. So we'll also create that object as well. So mail message, this is going to be a message that we're going to be sending, and then we're going to just create a new mail message. nothing too special there. And then let's try to use Control-Shift-O, bring in my dependencies. So far so good. I know I'm eventually going to have to add the catch block a little bit later, so we'll ignore that error for the time being. So let's go ahead and first start off by creating the email. So for the message or for the email, there's a couple things I need to set. I'm going to set the subject. So we can set the subject like so, and you can do any sort of subject. Again, we're simulating a sort of security alert here. So that could be the subject, security alert. Throw in that exclamation mark to make it more pressing. Okay, so that'll be the subject of the email. And let's also set the body, right? What is the actual contents of the email? And again, feel free to add whatever you want. Have a little fun with it. So we can say something like Liferay has detected that you have logged in. If this is not you, please contact, let's bump this down here. Please contact your administrator. I don't know, something simple like that. So we have a subject for our email message. We also have the body as well. Next up, we need to set where we're going to send this email and from who is this going to be coming from, or from whom. I'm not too sure the proper usage there. But anyways, so first thing, we're going to set the internet address. This is the email, or the class to set the email address. So we're going to start off by setting the to address. So who are we going to send this to? Creating a to-do or a to address. So new internet address. And then we're going to pass in our parameter. And this is going to be the user's address. So no quotes here. So the user object, and then we're going to get the email address as a string. So get the email address. All right, I'll use Control-Shift-O one more time to bring in my import. And it looks like it might not have come in. We might need to settle our dependencies here. And that's kind of what it looks like. So we'll fix this one a little bit later. We're going to set another internet address as it's called, or where this address is coming from. So we're going to call this the from address. And following the same syntax that we have above, we can set the email address to something more specific, like do not reply at liferay.com. So still trying to simulate realism here. All right, so far so good. All right, so we have the subject of the email. We have the contents or the body of the email. Next thing we need to do is we need to set where the email is going to go to and where is the email coming from. So we need to set the sender and the recipient. So with our email object, we're going to set to, pretty simple there. And then we're going to use the to address. Right? It doesn't autocomplete because of the error, but that's okay. And then we'll do the same thing, and then we're going to set from. And then the from is going to be the from address. All right, so we have our email all taken care of here. Last thing we need to do with it is we just need to send it off. So all of the contents of the email is taken care of. So we can call our mail service, right, to send an email. And then the email we're going to be sending is that message object. So the message object we created. And then go ahead and save the file. Now we still need to resolve these dependencies here with the internet address. And so again, we're kind of using some insider knowledge here for that, right? If you've kind of played around with the email before, you may know the dependency. But if you don't, again, we need to do a little bit of searching within Maven Central or Maven Repo, doing a little bit of Googling to find out where exactly is this internet address. So we'll just consider this a gimme here. And let's head over to our build.gradle. So build.gradle, here we are. Again, our magic file to take care of some of our dependencies. So the first dependency we're going to take care of is the one for the internet address. So this is going to come from the javax mail. Okay, so the group name is called javax.mail, like so, or the group, I should say. The actual name, the name here, is just going to be mail. And then for the version number, it's going to be 1.4. Again, remember our golden rule here. We're going to go ahead and perform our Gradle refresh whenever we make any changes here. But let's hold that thought really quick. One more thing we should probably do while we're here is take care of our kernel dependency. Again, we've kind of seen some issues here, at least with my build. Hopefully by the time you see this, everything will be good to go. But if not, you'll know how to resolve it. So we're going to do a little bit of changing of our first dependency. So instead of coming from Maven repo, we're going to say, hey Gradle, you're going to be compiling this file. So I have a dependency on a specific file. Syntax is weird when it says files, and it always kind of throws me off. All right, so we know this is 2 levels above in the bundles folder, and then from the bundles folder, it's over in Tomcat 9.0.6, over in the lib folder, followed by ext, and then the specific file we're looking for is portal-kernel.jar. Okay. So once you have all of this taken care of, go ahead and perform your Gradle refresh. Right. In every course, there is a golden rule, and in this course, the golden rule is to always Gradle refresh after you perform anything in the build.gradle, any modifications. So I use the keyboard shortcut Control F5. On Mac, it's a little bit more difficult because the mapping is kind of weird. But let's head over to our post login event listener once you're ready to go. Right, so over here, go ahead and use the Control Shift O keyboard shortcut to bring in the dependency for the internet address. Once you do, go ahead and save the file. So I've saved the file and I still see an error here. So I got a little bit too excited, a little bit too antsy to fix those errors. I still need to catch. All right, so we have the try. We took care of those specific dependencies. Now we just have to throw some exceptions or post in the logs some sort of error if things don't work. All right, so starting off, let me bump this down one line just to make it a little bit more neat. So we're going to start off with our first catch here. So portal, portal exception. And then we always just call it PE, or you can just call it E, up to you. I like PE personally, but that's okay. All right, so log error EE. All right. And then we need one more catch. So catch. Okay, and then this is for the email. So address exception. Okay, E. And then this one is log error. And then I still need to create that log object. Just kind of habit. And then finally, let's make that log object. Log error EE. Need that semicolon at the end. And then using Control Shift O, O, not 0, Okay, one more here. I need to actually create that log object. All right, so above my reference here, okay, private static final log. This is going to come from our log factory util get long, and then this is going to be get log, not get long. And then this is going to be the name of our class. So post login event listener dot class. And then one more, Control Shift O, and then we can save. All right, let me make sure I got this. Need a comma there. And then what's going on here with our log error? Right, it should be coming from these guys up here. Oh, I just did it one too many times. That's my fault. Got a little too trigger happy there. So doing a little cleanup there. Once you've confirmed your code is all good to go, let's go ahead and deploy. So we'll head over to our Gradle tasks here on the right hand side. Right, this is the post login event listener, expanding it out, heading down to build, and then deploy. Right, we'll wait for a few moments here. Let's go ahead. We're going to head over to our instance of Liferay. So heading over to our browser, let's go ahead and sign in. So clicking on the sign in at the top right, I'm going to sign in as test at liferay.com, password of test. All right, sign in. I'll head over to my console here. And one last thing I needed to do. In order for us to even experience or be able to see what's going on here, what we need to do is we need to run the fake SMTP server, right? And so let's go ahead and run through that really quick. So I'm gonna minimize all of my windows here and get me to the desktop. And in your exercises folder, you should have the fake SMTP server. So let me go ahead and navigate to where mine might be. So I found my fake SMTP server. I just placed it on my desktop. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and launch it. So for us on Windows, go ahead and double click it. If you're on a Mac or Unix system, you're going to have to do java-jar followed by the fake SMTP to run it. In any case, we have our fake SMTP server here, and then all you need to do is start it. Liferay by default listens on port 25. Hey, I'm going to get this, hey, are you going to allow it? I'll go ahead and allow access. All right, so once I allow access, I'll go ahead and head back over to my instance of Liferay. We'll sign out one more time, and then sign back in to test this out. So again, we need to run the fake SMTP server first, right, in order to get to where we need to go. So we still have our logout action there, sending me to learn.liferay. So signing back in, right, and then I see here, there is my email being retrieved by the fake SMTP server. So again, this is a very simple example of how we can leverage some of the events that Liferay goes through. Again, we have the opportunity to listen for logging in and logging out, as well as Liferay starting up and shutting down. There are a couple other ones out there as well, but those two sets are going to be the most crucial, the most essential when dealing with listening to specific Liferay events.